everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going to discuss Charles Lamb's essay, The Superannuated Man. If you have not checked my previous video on dream children, I'll give the link in the description below. So this particular essay, Superannuated Man, has been taken from the collection Essays of Elia. Elia is the pseudonym of Charles Lamb. And the next series was published in the year 1833 by the publisher Edward Maxton. So one of the most important features of this particular collection of essays is the conversational tone, and all these essays are very personal and very subjective. So I have given an introduction of Charles Lamb already in the previous video on Dream Children. So I'm not going to go in that detail. Let us directly begin with this particular text. Before we go into the essay, we need to understand something about the title, Superannuated Man. What is the meaning of superannuated? So there can be three meanings of the word superannuated. Number one means it can mean old-fashioned. Number two, it can mean the monthly payment made to someone who has retired from work. And number three, it means a regular payment made to someone, technically the 2/3 of their income, so that they can navigate their life without working. So through the text, we need to distinguish which meaning is meant by the essayist. I will not go into the line by line reading, rather I will go para-wise comprehensive understanding, so that when you will do the line by line reading, it will be helpful for you to understand the essay better. So in the first paragraph, we see that Lamb, or the speaker, is talking about his confinement in the office. He uses one word, irksome, to describe this confinement. So he compares his office to a prison house. We see another word is there, decrepitude. This is the fact of being the bad condition. So the speaker feels that it is nearly the end of his life and he has forgotten the sensation called holidays. These holidays are something which the speaker used to enjoy when he was a child, and that has become a memory, some distant memory nowadays. If we go into the second para, we see that the speaker is talking that he is working in this particular farm for last 36 years. That's a lot of years of life he has invested in this particular farm. So this particular office is at Mincing Lane. It is situated in Mincing Lane. That is a real life place, and he is associating Mincing Lane, the place where his office is situated, he is associating that place with melancholy, because he does not feel very good going to work every day. And as he previously mentioned, that he feels like his office is like a prison house. So he is like a prisoner who has to go to this particular place every day, even if he does not want to. And in this office, he is forced to work at least 8, 9 or 10 hours a day. That is more than half the waking hours of his life. So he feels like some animal who is caged in this office, and he is not very happy. We can clearly say that. This is something many of the workers feel, and I have seen many people who work in corporate offices, they feel the same kind of feeling, that they feel that they are in this prison house and they cannot quit the job because of this fear of losing the financial independence. At the same time, they do not want to go to work every day. So if we jump into the third paragraph, we see that he has the Sundays to himself. There is only one day of holiday, that is Sunday. But problem is that he cannot use the Sunday all to himself, because on Sundays he has to go to church, and church is not a matter of pleasure. So this church is associated with religion, and religion, according to him, forces people in doing things which they otherwise do not want to do. Also on Sundays he cannot enjoy, because he sees that all the shops are closed. He cannot go to places which he actually want to go, and all the shops are closed, the restaurants are closed, so he cannot enjoy the Sundays. So half the time is gone attending church, and the rest of the half of the day he cannot enjoy because everything is closed. So he sees that the skilled and unskilled, both the workers, they are attending church, and they are also moving with a very somber and melancholic face, because one day of holiday and the thought is there that the next day you need to go to work. So he mentions that looking at apprentices going to church does not give him any pleasure. So he also thinks that what would be pleasurable. The pleasure would be if all the shops were open and if he could move around the places he liked. So then only Sundays could have been enjoyable. But the problem is that everybody gets this holiday and he cannot enjoy because everything is closed. So let us move on to the next para. In the next para, he mentions about all the holidays he gets in a year. So he gets total 3 holidays, and that is one on Easter and one on Christmas and a full week in summer. So during this full 1 week of summer holiday, he goes back to his country house in Hertfordshire. But these 7 days of holidays in Hertfordshire, he cannot enjoy a lot, because he has this constant thought at the back of his mind that at the end of this holiday season he has to again go back to work. And just because he does not have a lot of time, so he thinks that he needs to make the most of this time, whatever he has. So what he does, he tries to incorporate as many activities as he could within these 7 days. And that is a problematic thing. In order to do everything, he cannot enjoy those 7 days, because he wants to do all the activities he cannot usually do on his other work days. So this can happen to every one of us. Usually on our puja vacation, we want to incorporate whatever activities we want to do during those 5 days, and we kind of sometimes end up burned out and too much exhausted. So this is the same case he is also talking about. The 7 days just fly by. Then he talks about something interesting, and that is a thraldom. So this thraldom means a state of subjugation to a master. So he feels that he is a slave and the master is this omnipotent figure, maybe the office boss, who is waiting for him to come back to work. So he is talking about the slavery and the tyrant. I sometimes feel that our modern corporate jobs are like modern forms of slavery. And here people willingly submit to do the work they are told to do. And they do not have time to enjoy, and they spend most of their time working on their laptop on a screen. So do you also think that our corporate jobs are also modern forms of slavery? So when Charles Lamb was writing this essay, obviously there was not the work on the screen, but still he had to work on paper. He was an accountant and he spent all his life working in this office, in this small office, 7 to 8 to 9 hours a day. Let us look into the 5th para. So in this 5th para, he is talking about the rigors of attendance. He is talking about his own incapacity to business. So here he feels that he is not sure about himself. So he is saying that he is incapable of working here, and that incapability is taking a toll on his physical and mental health. And his health and his good spirits are now flagging because of that particular anxiety and stress he is building up. So he makes some mistakes throughout the day because he is feeling difficulty and it is stressful. And at night he is haunted by the nightmares, and the nightmares are about the mistakes he has made. He says that in daytime he is the slave to his works, and at night he is the slave to his nightmares. And he also says that he is continuously uncomfortable and his spirits are never at ease, and he has become an inanimate object and incapable of feeling any kind of emotion. This work in the office is draining for him, and he is losing all his emotions and all his ability to enjoy the life beyond this work. So he is now comparing himself with a piece of wood. Don't you think that it is the same kind of torture many corporate workers talk about now? Let us move on to the next para. In the next para, he mentions that his colleagues are also noticing these things, that he is unable to work and he is very stressed out and anxious, and they are also noticing that his health is being affected due to this work. And as I mentioned previously, that he has worked in this office for 36 years. That means he is no longer a young person, he has gone aged, and obviously this kind of anxiety and stress is taking a toll on his health, which is really noticeable by the colleagues. His junior partner one day calls him and asks him about his infirmity, and by being called was not a very pleasant thing. He now feels that they will probably tell him to resign. So but then on a particular day, the day he mentions is 12th April, and that day before 8 o'clock at night, he is called by L. So he does not take the full name of this person, he just mentions that he is called by L and there is another person. So they are the partners of the firm, L and P. They call the speaker and they question them about the length of his service and whatever contribution he has made, and all this lengthy and aggressive speech, they are kind of overwhelming for the speaker. So after all this is, the speaker is told that he can take voluntary retirement from the very next day, and then he does not have to worry about money. He will be getting 2/3 of his salary, and because of the contribution he has made to this firm for so long. So the speaker thinks that this is a great benevolent gesture, because he was already feeling trapped in this office and now he can just leave, and he does not have to worry about money. So he feels very happy and grateful and he leaves the office. So there are a few words which can be a little difficult. That is, one word is descant, that means discourse on a theme, and another word is there, that is expediency, that is a practical proposal. So he ends this particular paragraph with a Latin phrase, as we have previously also seen that in Charles Lamb's essays there are a lot of Latinism. So he also here ends this particular paragraph with a Latin phrase, and the meaning of this Latin phrase is let it be perpetual. So let us move on to the 7th para of this essay. So in the 7th para, he mentions the first 2 days after his voluntary retirement, and this is the time he feels stunned. Then he compares himself to a prisoner who is out of Bastille after 40 years. Now he does not know what to do, because he has spent all his life in this office doing this work, and he never had a life outside his professional work, and now as he does not have that allocated work anymore, he does not know what to do with all his time. This is something many retired people feels. So he says that now he has all the time to himself, and he has been a person who had been poor in time, and now he is not. He is now rich in time, and he cannot be more pleased, and he uses words like giddy rapture. So when his excitement about this thing, like having all the time to himself, when this excitement is subsided, he notices that he had gone old. So because when he was working, he could walk for 30 miles without any problem, and now he cannot do that anymore. So when he had physical strength, he did not have time to enjoy life, and when now he has time, he does not have the physical strength. So this is pretty ironical, and something I think everybody feels after retirement. He wonders, why can't he walk now? Is it because he has so much time? Is it because that he has no strength left? He also mentions that when he had so little time, he would wear his eyes off by trying to read. And now that he has so much of his time, he does not even read. So when he had less time for himself, he would try to make most of the time. And now that he has all the time to himself, he cannot make the most out of it, because he knows that this time will be there only. So even if he doesn't do that particular activity, he will still have a lot of time to do that activity. He wonders whether is it a good thing or a bad thing of having so much time. In the next paragraph, that is the 8th paragraph, he says that it is like a calculation, and he has lived his life for 50 years. So we can understand that he is in his 50s, and he has hardly lived for himself. Throughout his 50 years, he has always lived for someone else. And whatever time in this 50 years he had lived for himself, that was the time he was a very young fellow. He wonders where has all the time gone. He tries to calculate. He has been worked as an accountant, and his habit of accounting has not gone obviously overnight. So he tries to account for all the time, where the time has gone. So he is calculating that he is the rest of his life to himself, and says that the next years he will live threefolds, like whatever he could not do all those years, and now he will do it. So he is calculating how much time he has for the enjoying of life. So in the 9th paragraph, he says that so after retiring one day, so he goes back to the farm where he used to work. So he goes back there, and he feels that everything is very distant. Not a lot of days have passed, but still he feels that everything has become very distant, and he does not feel that it was just the affair of yesterday that he had taken a voluntary retirement. So the partners, the clerks with whom he spent so much of his time of his previous years, they all seemed far removed from him. He speaks of a poem, A Tragedy by Robert Howard. In that particular poem, the poet talks about a death of a friend, and immediately after the death of that friend, the poet feels that person has gone so much away, so far from him. He also feels the same thing. So he also feels that an eternity has passed when he used to work at that office. So now he feels that retirement was like a long time back. So in the 10th paragraph, he tries to dissipate this feeling that all the people he worked with, all other things like in this office, everything is so far removed from him. He tries to dissipate that feeling, and to do that, he goes to his counting house, and there he feels like very awkward now. So he does not feel the same familiarity there, and everything feels very superficial. People are nice to him, and even his colleagues crack jokes about the hard time he spent in this office. But everything feels like very artificial to him. So he looks at the hanger when he used to hang his coat. Now that hanger has been given to the person who has replaced him. So the table where he used to work, it has gone to the person who has replaced him, including the peg or the hanger where he used to hang his coat. He feels that everything is now out of his hand. His friends, his colleagues, his employers, his desk, even his peg. So like we can think that like why is he getting upset about a peg? It's not about the peg. It's about the feeling that he is replaceable. Everybody just replaced him, and the life inside that office just went on without him being there. So this realization that you are replaceable, this is not very comfortable. He also has this uncomfortable feeling, and he thinks that everybody is nice to him, but still they are very artificial. There is no cordiality. It's like a weird kind of feeling that he has spent so many of his years in this office doing his work, but the moment he left, another person came to his place, and all the things which he once had passed to this particular new person. So he is replaceable in the office. So it is not only in the office, it is also in the lives of the people in the office. He is now asking why does he not feel familiarity anymore, and the rugged road his colleagues described. Was he a coward to quit this rugged road? He took a voluntary retirement. So was he a coward to do that? Like everybody was inside this hustle culture and he just took himself out of this hustle. Was he a coward? So this hustle is compared to a rugged road. So he is now very skeptical. He is thinking whether he has done the right thing or not. We see there are words like conundrum, that means confusion or a difficult problem or a question. And another word is there, smart, that is like superficiality which is striking his heart. So he gives a farewell to CH and PL. Again, he does not mention the names of those people, he just mentions the initials. And he says that this mansion can be the home to Gresham. So who is Gresham? The Gresham is an English financier who founded the Royal Exchange in London. There is another name mentioned, that is Whittington, and Whittington is Richard Whittington, an English merchant and politician of the late medieval period. So he feels that this mansion is so huge that it can be the house of Gresham or Whittington. So he goes back to his files, the files he used to work with. He goes back to his files and he sees that his files are piling up. So they are piling up so much that he compares himself with Thomas Aquinas. And who is Thomas Aquinas? Thomas Aquinas is an Italian Dominican friar and a philosopher and theorist and a jurist. So he calls them, the files, as my work. So he wants to have something that is his own in this office. So he mentions that the files are his work. So he is not completely replaceable. He is trying to, like this, calling the files as my work, this gives him a sense of achievement or a sense of comfort that he has done something in this office and he is not altogether replaceable. So let us move on to the next paragraph. In the next paragraph, we see that 15 days have been passed and now he has become much more calm, but he is not accustomed to this kind of tranquility. So he feels that the chains which he used to wear as a part of his apparel, the chain has become a necessary part of his apparel. So he missed that captivity a lot. That captivity provided a sense of familiarity, and that familiarity is now gone and he feels that he is lost. So he kind of missed that familiarity. It's not the chains or not the work. He missed the captivity because he missed the familiarity. So he feels like a Carthusian. So a Carthusian is a monk or a nun with an austere contemplative order. He was accustomed to this strict discipline, the discipline of going to office every day and working there. He was very accustomed to that. And now he has come back to the world. So what does he do with his life? He goes to different places like the bookstall in Soho. He goes to the Bond Street. He feels like he is a collector going there to look out for his collections. He also looks at the busy streets in London and he names some of the places like the Fish Street Hill. Fish Street Hill is a busy street bustling with a lot of people. And also he mentions Mincing Lane where his office was situated, and Pall Mall. It is a street in St. James area near in the Westminster city. So all these places now feel very different. Now he does not get the same feeling while he is visiting. And he said that he views the change time, and the change time is the changing of guards in Buckingham Palace. So nothing gives him pleasure. He tries to do a lot of things, tries to go to a lot of places, but nothing gives him pleasure. And he feels like now he has come to another world altogether. And every day is the same for him. He does not have any particular routine or any motivation to go into the next day because he has all the time in the world and every day feels the same. So it is kind of odd When he used to go to work every day, that time also he was not happy, and now the work is also not there. He is missing that familiar captivity. So this is a bit odd kind of human behavior. I think everybody would feel the same in his situation. Also now says the good part of having time for himself, that he now can visit a sick friend, and also he can go to anybody's invitation if anybody invites him. So previously he could not manage that because he had to go to work, and now he has time, so he can nurture the relationships he had. So he mentions about Lucretian. So Lucretian is a spectator who is standing on the shore and watching a shipwreck. So he compares himself like that. He says that he is watching other people's logging, other people going to work, and feels the same kind of stress. But viewing a shipwreck is not pleasurable. So he also does not feel any pleasure by looking at the other people who have to go to work, and who are now slogging, and who are now feeling the same thing which he felt previously. Another word is there, kirking, that means carrying on the burden. So he has now come to the realization that all men should work for either pleasure or work for the leisure. So he says that if he had a son, he would have named that son Nothing to Do, because that son would do nothing. All the people should stop doing work and should have the entire time for themselves. So now he personifies, I am retired leisure. So he can be found in the trimmed garden, and he now universalizes himself. So he can be known by his vacant face and callous gesture, and moving at no fixed pace, and there is no purpose in his moving. So he says that he can be found in a lot of other places, and he does not go to office regularly. So he is universalizing himself. He is the representative of all the superannuated men out there. So one phrase is there, calm digit entire, that means leisure with dignity. So everything is buried, and he has so much time, and he has made a lot of contemplation because he has so much time. In that time he makes the contemplation. But whatever he does, he is no longer what he used to be once, and he grows into this social superiority that is recognizable. So when he takes up the newspaper now, he actually takes it up to read the opera section. He is reading because he wants to read, and there is no purpose. And he worked his work, assigned to them his tasks, and now he has the rest of the day to himself, rest of the days, like rest of his life to himself. So he has done his bits of life, and now he is a retired person, and now he does not have any particular purpose, and he has served the purpose. Now he reads the newspaper just to read the opera section. So here the essay comes to an end. This tone is kind of bittersweet, and the way he describes the feelings and the emotions, it can be very relatable. So I hope this lecture helped you to understand this essay, and I would suggest that you go through the essay line by line, and that will help you to answer the questions better. And for more videos related to literature, keep an eye on my channel. Take care. Bye bye.